Hello, and welcome to the Metaphysical Life Podcast, where we talk about all things relating to body, mind, and spirit. My name is Nicole, and today I have Naomi on the line, Naomi Danialle. Hi, Naomi.
Hello.
Hi. So I follow Naomi on Instagram, and my sister actually referred her to me and said that she'd be a good person to interview. So I've asked her on the show today. And Naomi, maybe start what we typically do is we start with sharing a little bit about your personal spiritual journey with the listeners.
Okay, yeah. So my name's Naomi, as Nicole said. I began my path to consciousness, is what I like to call it, about 5 years ago. It all started actually with my ex-husband. He was going rock hounding and gold panning, and he started bringing home like pieces of quartz crystals and fluorite like that he had like found in the earth just locally. And it just it really excited me holding the crystals. Like, it gave me I don't know, I guess a lot of inspiration, and like it made me curious about things. And then that was actually when I was pregnant with my second daughter. And then what really like pushed me into the awakening, if you will, was when I actually gave birth to my second daughter at home on accident.
Wow.
So yeah, I had wanted a home birth, but my doctor was not gonna permit it. And I had had some false labor, and then all of a sudden, things happened. My daughter wanted to come really fast, and it ended up that, yeah, I had her at home with my husband at the time, and his sister was there. They helped deliver the baby in our room. And
Wow.
yeah, it really just woke me up to women's intuition and like how much we know and how much we can manifest. Because yeah, as soon as I got to the hospital afterwards, my doctor was like, well, you got your home birth. And I'm like, well, not really how I wanted it, but yeah.
That's
So,
funny.
and then that just, yeah, it really like, I feel like that experience opened my third eye and my crown chakra. And then I just started remembering things and seeing things in a different light. And I got in touch with a psychic who I had had a reading from many years before. And then when I had the reading with her, she was like, it's coming up that you have these gifts as well, these psychic gifts that you should look more into. And that was literally all it took. And then it was like, the can had been lifted off, and there was like so much excitement, and I just wanted to dive straight in because, yeah.
It was
I was,
the inspiration that you needed.
yeah, 100%. That was what kickstarted it. So she taught me the meanings of tarot cards. So I started with doing tarot readings.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, since then I've branched out into different, workshops of, I've done like a mediumship workshop, or like, I love to use oracle cards as well, because I find they're just a little bit softer. The
Right.
message can be a bit more kind than the tarot sometimes. So yeah.
Nice. So, so what exactly is, for some listeners who are new to the terms, what exactly is mediumship versus, I guess, psychic?
Okay, so mediumship is more when you connect with past over loved ones. So spirits that have, or people who, who were living, who have passed away, but their spirit is very much still present. And yeah, learning to tap into that, opposed to, psychic readings can kind of be more about like guidance and insight into the future, not necessarily wanting to connect with dead people, essentially.
No, that's good. And in terms of tarot and oracle, what would be, like you said, mentioned that oracle's a bit softer.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe dive a little bit into that.
So tarot, the tarot deck is, it's typically composed of the 78 cards. Like, there's a million different types of tarot now. But tarot is 78 cards that have very specific meanings. And there's major arcana, minor arcana. So some of them are a little like hold more weight and importance, which is the major arcana. And I find that tarot is very much like the cards don't lie. It's like, the, as much as you sometimes don't want to see what you see, you have to find a way to delicately put it to people what you're seeing as well, which I like to that's why I like to usually sum up my readings with oracle cards, because oracle are more, the message is still there. You're still going to get insight and direction. It just might not be like as specific. And it just feels like it's a little bit more like buffered with like, some kind words. But obviously tarot is, everyone reads differently as well. Like,
Right.
personally, I was taught to not read tarot cards upside down. And that's a practice that I have always kept, because personally, I don't like, when I give people readings, it is my goal to make them feel lit up when they're done. If I were to, say something that was not empowering or that created more fear, like, for instance, I've had a psychic reading done where she was like, oh no, I see you being stuck in your patterns for many years. And it's like, oh, thank you. So whereas like I was trained to be like, oh, okay, so this card is actually showing, there's an opportunity for you to break through this pattern. It's going to take some work, but you're fully capable. You have all the power you need. It's in you. I'm not going to project more fear into their like future reality.
Right.
Which is kind of why I don't like to read the cards upside down, because just like anything, there's a good and a bad. But in my readings, I choose to focus on the good. That doesn't mean I leave out the bad, but I just have a different way of like gently getting that point across, I guess you could say.
Right. I've had oracle. I guess it was oracle because it was roses. There were roses on the deck.
Okay.
I've had a reading like that before, and it was mostly good.
That's good. Good. Yeah.
Mostly. It makes you think. So do you actually hear, like, is it your intuition and then you just follow the intuition? Interesting.
Yeah. And I do. I mainly hear my messages, and then sometimes I'll see it like in my mind's eye.
Okay.
So that's a little bit different too, right? Like some people imagine psychics as like, seeing the spirit like in their external reality. But me, I see it like in my third eye, my mind's eye, like flashes of, images.
Right. And are they quick? They're quick?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can ask them to hold them. I call them spirit. I'll like, just be like, I need a little more information, or like, what else can I get from this? And it'll last longer, but often it is that, like just flashes.
Very cool. Very cool. I do have my own tarot cards, but I never, I bought them because it was from, Monday Mystics or Mystic Monday or something.
Okay.
Like I consider myself a little bit of a mystic, and it's very, very colorful. And I've used them a few times. Like I just pick out a card and I rate it and I look at it and then I try to interpret what that means for my life.
Yes, that's perfect. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you bought it, because I've been seeing and hearing from people lately that you're not, like someone said, you're not allowed to get your own deck. It's supposed to be gifted to you. And I was like, no, that feels like superstitious to me.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we are definitely okay to buy our own decks. We don't have to be like, we don't have to wait to be gifted one. It's like they're available to everyone.
Right, exactly. I never knew that. I never even heard that actually. But I also felt drawn to them, right? Like, so I was like, oh, maybe I'll get some tarot cards. And then these were the particular ones that were drawn to me. So I was like, I got to get them because.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah, you kind of let them pick you.
Yeah. Now I just remember to use them.
Yeah, even one card a day, like you said, that's perfect. Like just, focusing on the message of the one card.
That's right. And I like your idea of not reading the upside down card, because that's sort of the negative component of it, right?
Absolutely.
Although it's important to be aware, I think, of, it's light and dark, right? It's both sides, but I usually read it not upside down.
Yeah, because you want to feel, I feel like, that's the most important part, is people are always asking me, how do I know it's my intuition? Like, how do you know it's intuition speaking to you? And the most direct answer I can give is that it's going to make you feel good. It's going to make you feel like it's coming from a place of love, not that it's coming from a place of fear. You know,
Right. Right.
if
I
you
hear
hear
that.
something in your mind and you're like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do it now, that's ego, because you're coming from a place of fear. You're feeling rushed.
Right.
Whereas intuition, it kind of creeps up on you and you just like, you suddenly know and you feel aligned to take that action. It's not like something that feels pressing, like, you know, yeah, it's never going to be something scary. That's the other thing, is like, I find there's a lot of what's the word, like misconstrued ideas around tarot readings and how it's all doom and gloom, but it's not. It
Right.
depends. I guess it depends on your reader. But yeah, spirit, in my opinion, spirit wants the messages to be loving and empowering and insightful, not
Right.
not something that's going to make you, yeah, question things more.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. I like that perspective actually. So you have this birth at home. It opens up your third eye. You see a psychic. The psychic tells you you have these abilities, and then you go and you learn everything you can about these abilities.
Yes.
So what are the sorts of things that you did to learn about um, these abilities? Like obviously
Well,
she went through oracle cards with you and taught you that, but what else did you do?
um, honestly, a lot of it was just like self-led research. So just like getting my hands on any books that had anything to do with metaphysical topics. Like there was a time where I was really focused on crystals or really focused on chakras, and now I'm really moving into like yoga, and just like, you know, allowing myself to be, yeah, to be inspired by what I'm drawn to. And a lot of my research was like online. Absolutely. I
Right.
learned a lot of things from Google. um,
Google's so
but
great.
honestly, the hardest part, like in order to develop your intuition, because everyone has it, it's a muscle, you know, we all are born with that. Um, it's learning how to like slow down enough to hear it is the first part, but the second part is believing it and trusting that you have that direct connection to source or spirit. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, I think I hear it, but I don't know. And I'm like, no, you do hear. What you hear is what you hear. You just have to believe it. Like, that's the only difference between me and, you know, someone who wants to be a psychic, is that I believed that I had that connection.
Right.
And I just fostered and nurtured it. And like I was saying, I go on tangents. For me, it was about learning to slow down enough
Right.
to hear that inner voice. Because if you're super busy and you're trying to learn all the things and you're not taking any time to integrate what you're learning, everything's just going to pass you by, and you're going to still feel lost, and like you don't know what direction you're supposed to be going. But finding silence and stillness and just, you know, allowing things to come to you rather than like going and searching and seeking constantly.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I'm part of a like a coaching group program thing, and one of the key things is relaxing and allowing.
Yes,
You know,
exactly. Yep.
so because we're so focused on like go get things done, accomplish thing. You know, like it's just this
Exactly.
pressure, and so we miss a lot. I think because we're not aware. I think.
100%. And that's what I have a lot of people say to me, is they're like, oh, I had these really weird dreams and I think they're like a sign. And I'm like, a lot of the time that is what will happen, is spirit will be trying to communicate with you, but during the day you're too busy, your ego is too engaged in being productive, and once you're asleep, your ego's asleep, so spirit starts to like send little messages that, you know, you'll remember and you'll scratch your head. But yeah, definitely, yeah, taking time to relax and, like you said, yeah, allow it to come to you. Don't feel like you have to go searching for it. That's a big one.
That's yeah. I do a lot of dream work. So I dream journal, and
Yes.
I
So,
work my dream, like, yeah, and it's amazing. Like, it's just crazy what comes out in dreams, and
right.
then themes come out, like, you know, a lot of themes. I dream a lot of water. That's a common thing.
Yeah. Are you a pretty emotional person?
So the last week, for sure.
Well, the moon is in Cancer, so yeah, even the last, like, yesterday and today is just like all the emotions.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it just, so usually I'm not so emotional, but for some reason, yeah. And especially when you're working, so I'm working on my triggers and shadow work and figuring out, all of that good stuff. And yeah. And so it just, I think it was last week or something. I had like a breakdown, like a mental, I was just like, what's going on? I don't
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah.
it's all beautiful and perfect. And,
I think that like when you say you dream about water, is it like great big bodies of water, or like does it change all the time?
it changes, but lately it's been, like last night I was showering in the
Aha.
bathtub, and I do a lot of, like I am statements, like a lot of positive statements, and all the statements were all like on the walls of the
Cool.
bathtub, right? So obviously, there's some vulnerability there too, because I'm in the shower, like I'm
Yeah.
very close. But anyways,
And I was hearing like let it wash all over you. Like I feel like there's something about
oh,
allowing,
that's a good one too. Yeah,
yeah, letting your emotions like come and go, and knowing it's okay that, you are still a strong person even if you are being emotional.
yeah, totally. That's a good one. Yeah, yeah, that's cool. So, okay, so you did that. So paying attention to that, you calmed down, you listened. And then, and so what are you doing now? So what do you like? Because I follow you on Instagram, and I do see you doing yoga and stuff. You do the little
Yeah.
videos of yoga. So what are you trying to do for people, and how are you trying to help them, and a little bit about what you do every day, I guess.
Okay, well, it's interesting that you say that because I'm starting. I'm I'm looking into actually like I've been being told by other psychics for a couple years now. They're like, you're going to end up working with kids on some level. There's something to do with you working with kids. And so I've been, learning to allow it to come to me instead of searching it out. And it's just come to me that I want, like, my path to consciousness was opened because of my kids, and because they were like little tiny, versions of me mirroring my behaviors. And it's pretty hard to not get real with yourself when you see that. um, oh shoot, I forget where I was going with this now. Okay, kids yoga. So kids yoga, that's what I'm working on. Is I want to start, I'm thinking about teaching kids yoga, or helping kids to just tap into their spiritual gifts.
Nice.
I really want to focus on like helping coach kids, because I feel, you can heal the parents by healing the kids as well.
Mm-hmm.
And children are such open channels. And looking back for me, I was a very sensitive little girl. Like my teacher was like worried about me because I was so sensitive, and I was quiet and withdrawn. And a lot of that came from me feeling like I didn't have any gifts. Like I wasn't creative. I wasn't an artist like my sister, or I wasn't, in that way. So I really want to like learn to, or not learn, I want to help other kids to nurture their gifts and to see that they're worthy. That's kind of been my next big thing that I'm venturing into, which I'll be offering that in, I think, April.
Nice.
Yeah. But right now, I just finished an online course with my friend Juliana. It's Life Path Alignment. And it reminded me of that, while I offer tarot readings and I love to do like group readings and fun pop-up shops, I'm also really passionate about the life coaching, like just, helping people to stay on track. Sometimes all it takes is just like one more person to be that mentor in someone's life, and it can make such a huge difference. So
For sure.
sharing like the rituals that I use to keep me grounded when I'm feeling overly emotional, or, suffering from psychic attacks. And yeah, so I'm focusing on that right now as well.
That's very cool. It's kind of cool that, your third eye opened during having, after you had your child at home, and you're
Yeah.
kind of leaning toward the kid yoga, which is very cool. It almost seems like that's what was supposed to happen, right?
Right? Like it's meant to be.
Yeah,
Totally.
exactly. Exactly. And so the online course, there's a few things I just want to ask before we end the podcast, but the online course, is this a revolving thing? Do people just get on when you
So
offer it?
this course was actually through my friend Juliana. She offered it, and she had me on as a guest reader.
Awesome.
Um, so yeah, so I just kind of got to tag team in on that. But last year I did an online course for igniting your intuition,
Okay.
and that's something that I'm looking to relaunch in the next couple weeks, just like a revised version of that.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I just wanted to kind of ask, because you brought it up, is I forget how you worded it. The attacks.
The psychic attacks.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you mean by that? I know that's a deep conversation and we've got like 9 minutes, but
That's okay. No, a lot of the time, so like I shared with you, I'm very clairaudient.
yes.
So I will hear things. And a lot of the times, when we make connections with people, when you're sensitive and you're spiritual, you don't really realize how deep that connection is. And oftentimes, like, to be honest with you, the first instance that I realized I was psychic was when I was going into a grocery store and I could hear the men's thoughts around me. And I didn't even have to have a connection with them. I could still hear it and I could feel it, and it made me like icky. I didn't like the way they were looking at me or the things they were thinking. And when we create like friendships or relationships with people, oftentimes we can end up hearing their thoughts and judgments towards people, places, things. And that's what I call psychic attacks, is when I'm starting to like pick up on other people's energies that are not necessarily my own. So
Right.
yeah, that's
right. Gotcha.
Yeah, creating boundaries around that. And just like sometimes you just have to say, hey, spirit, like I'm not into this. I don't want to be hearing these messages.
Right. So I think a lot of people, at least for me, I don't hear things, but I do feel things.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what are the sorts of things that you do when you do feel that you're being attacked? Like maybe
I have a couple, like I have these 2 big chunks of obsidian that are like my go-to,
Mm.
which is just, very grounding crystals. If I don't have those, then what I like to do is imagine myself in a rainbow colored bubble. And
Okay.
yeah, it's like
That's a good
very,
one.
yeah, it's visual, and it just helps you to like keep it's like, and I say, spirit, anything that wants to come in is just going to bounce back.
Gotcha.
Because right now I just need time to myself, right? And that's important. If we're constantly being bombarded by other things or other people, you can't hear your own inner voice. So imagining myself, and then salt baths are also really good for cleansing any any low vibrational energies that you may have picked up throughout the day. And I think, I've mentioned it before, and speaking to spirit, that's so big. Just like declaring what you want and what you don't want. It's pretty easy. It sounds very simple. But it's like we almost discredit that too, right?
Right.
So just, yeah, putting up boundaries with spirit. It's a real thing. And then, distancing yourself from said energies if possible. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, if it's possible.
Yes, if it's possible, exactly.
That's cool. And then the last thing is just, you mentioned, you made a comment about astrology, like what's happening in, I know nothing about astrology outside the fact that I'm a Capricorn and what that means to me.
Of course, you're a Capricorn. I love that. Do you know what your moon sign is? Tell me you know that.
I don't know my moon sign.
For
no.
goodness sakes. Okay. So your moon sign, your sun sign is Capricorn, right? So everyone knows their sun sign, or most people, I would say, knows their sun sign. And that's, your outward expression of who you are. But your moon sign is actually like your emotional and instinctual self. It's the side of you that you don't necessarily show to everyone. It's like only close family and friends, or like, you know, your kids, if you have kids, would be aware of. I also used to call it like, you know, it's like your alter ego, or like the drunk you. It's
Oh,
like,
okay.
it's the sun and moon, right? So it's kind of like, some people call it your darker side. But if you think about it, like, our instincts are like our driving force. So important to know what your moon sign is.
That's
A
funny.
fun fact about that actually is, okay, so my sun sign is Cancer, which makes me, you know, very nurturing, sensitive, moody, soft. However, my moon sign is Aries. And it's funny when I learned that, because I was like, what? I had like a chip on my shoulder to Aries in general. And I was like, okay, so there's something I need to learn here. You know, like, what we see in others is often something that we're disowning about
Oh,
ourselves.
totally. Yes.
So yeah, um, you know, I had to really look at like the fact that I am impulsive, and I can be hot-headed, or like prone to childish outbursts. That is me. And learning to like just accept that and get to know yourself in that way is really important.
Right,
And
right.
then there's so many other goodies that go along with astrology and birth chart readings in specific, because, you know, there's your Venus sign reveals how you approach relationships and how you get pleasure. Your Mars sign is like your masculine, and it shows how you take action. um, there's just so many, like, I could just go down a rabbit hole with astrology. There's so many things to learn, and it's always so relevant. So yeah, it's one of my favorite things to talk about.
I guess you seem very passionate about it too. Uh,
Yeah.
that's funny. So do you offer those sort of, I guess, readings to people?
Yes. Yeah, I
Okay.
totally do. I
Well,
do.
I'll connect with you after.
That would be awesome. Yes.
I know I figured out. So I did do a new, it wasn't astrology, but I did have to figure out, what time of day I was born.
Yep.
Uh,
That that could have been your birth chart.
yeah, I think it was like a numerology thing, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't. I don't think it was astrology, but I do know that when I during a full moon, that I don't know if this has anything to do with astrology, so this might be very ignorant,
It's a
but
moon. Of course it is.
okay. So during a full moon, I love, like, absolutely love, although you live in BC, so it's winter, but
Yeah.
in the summertime or springtime, I love when there's a full moon and I go outside and I put my feet, like bare feet, in the
Mhm.
grass. Like,
Yes.
I love that. Or the other side would be to go out in the morning and put my feet in the grass and like stare at the sun.
Yes.
Those are two things that I just find so powerful
And grounding and
and grounding.
connecting.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Absolutely. And do you imagine roots coming out of your
yeah,
feet?
I do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the best.
Yeah. So I know
Yeah.
astrology is important. Astrology is important. So yeah, so that's very cool.
Yeah. It's part of our world.
Any books that you've read that you
So,
would recommend?
you know, it's funny because I have like stacks on stacks of books, but confession here is that I don't ever finish books. I like to I call it intuitive reading, and I just like open a book up. I let myself look at my books and I say, okay, which one has a message for me today? And then I'll pick one book, I'll open it up, and I'll read even like one page or a couple pages, and I'm like, this is what I needed. And once in a while I will like end up reading a whole chapter. But I actually, yeah, I don't do a whole lot of reading, even
Right.
though I love reading. I don't do like, I don't finish books. However, one that I will recommend is Trust Your Vibes.
Mm-hmm.
It's by Sonia. I don't know how to, or Sonia.
Choquette.
Yes,
Yes.
that's the one. Yeah, that is a really good one. That was the first one I used when I was starting this process, and it was super helpful.
Yeah, she's pretty easy to read too. I read something about meeting your spirit guides by Sonia.
Ooh, I haven't
Yeah.
heard of that.
Yeah.
That would be
So
good too.
it went through and I did follow what she said, and I think I met some spirit guides. So
You don't think you did? You did meet some
yeah,
spirit.
yeah, totally, totally. Well, it's 1:30 your time. So what I'll do? How can people reach you?
Through Instagram, or I have a website.
Okay,
Um,
Instagram handle, just verbally
n-
say it.
it's Naomi Danielle Intuitive.
Naomi Danielle Intuitive. I'll put it in the notes below, but if
Okay.
people are listening, in their car or something, it will.
And then my website is just www.naomidanielle.com.
So your name, your full name. Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect. Well, thank you for sharing your journey. We'll have to get you on again to talk
that
more
would be
about
awesome.
the astrology component. I think we can do like a good 45 minutes on that.
Absolutely. I would love that.
All right, perfect. Well, have yourself a wonderful day. And yeah, it was awesome meeting you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was really good to connect with you.
You too.